What is up, everybody, and welcome back to yet another episode of the Warthog Gaming Podcast, hosted by me, Hamish Hector.
And me, Oliver Barsby.
How you doing, Ollie? Whilst I fix you, because I normally check this before the stream, but I hadn't made your face a bit bigger. There we go. Now you fill the screen. They could just see a little bit of our weird, janky Discord for a second there.
Yeah.
Thankfully, no personal info.
I'll be getting doxed by our fans.
No.
No, I'm doing good this week. It's been a busy week in gaming, blimey. Well, a bit busy. It's just been, for me, there's been lots of stuff going on in terms of gaming, but then outside it's been a bit of chill for me this week. But yeah. What about you? How have you been doing this week? What have you been up to?
It's been a busy week for me as well. I mean, from like just general gaming, you've got the Xbox Series X launch, and I think and Series S. We can't forget the second console.
Don't forget
that's
the
one.
Series
That's
S.
the one you have.
That's the one I have.
Yeah. I've probably written it feels like 1,000 guides for this console at this point, just telling you how to do anything and everything. Which has been really a lot of fun. But it does two things. Firstly, now I think I only eat, sleep, and drink Xbox information. I don't think I can do anything else anymore. And it also has made me insanely jealous to be writing out, oh, this is how you can do this on your console. And it's like, oh, I wish I had that.
You don't have that console.
Thankfully, it's all really similar. It seems like to the Xbox One X, so I can do all the guides with my current console, because I think because Xbox are trying to. I think some of the design is a bit different, but a lot of the UI is similar in terms of how you navigate. So
a lot of there's a lot of
which I guess
continuation.
It's a good thing if you're hoping to sort of upgrade people, make it a single ecosystem. If everything plays the same, it feels a little bit more like that. Whereas, if you had to do a completely separate different actions. Anyway, that's getting off topic. Then the other thing as well, a lot of Destiny 2 Beyond Light. Been really excited. That has finally come along.
Of course.
So I've been playing so much of that. Thankfully, had a little loot cave glitch that was able to help me and a load of other players hit the soft cap. So this season everyone starts off at like level 1050. That was nice of Bungie to up everyone up to that pretty high number based on, I think last season I was only at like 10, 12 at the end of it. I can't remember. I didn't really grind out at the end. And then the new soft cap was 1200, and the way you do it is you just keep playing the same lost sector, which is a little level, over and over again. This particular lost sector is super short. You can complete it in literally like 3 minutes, and then the boss at the end of it just drops really powerful loot. So everyone was just keep on doing that in the middle of the EDZ on Earth. And it was really good.
No, well, I've seen, I'm going to hint to my Xbox Series S. I've been looking on Game Pass, and Destiny 2 is there, and I've been tempted a bit, to be honest, but it's not been downloaded just yet, because I'm not. It's just a bit of effort to get into a game like that, where I haven't been playing for a while, and I don't know whether I can do that.
The two things I would say that might help you out is, like, firstly, a lot of the content's been stripped back now. I think, what was it? Obviously, last season ended with the Darkness completely removing 4 planets. And as someone that's played on last season to this season, there is something about now when you open up the planet sort of solar system thing and you see that 4 planets aren't there anymore. And it does have this feeling like, oh, okay, this feels kind of real. Like these people that I was doing quests for just like the day before, now gone. And that feels like something. And they've also introduced like a whole new like area, the Cosmodrome. Well, it's not new. It's from Destiny 1, Cosmodrome on Earth, and it introduces sort of a whole new light system. So if you are wanting to jump in, you have all these quests you can now do, and you can basically see what the beginning of Destiny is like without. I think it's a slightly different story though, because they've also opened it up to all other players. We're like, oh, if you want to try this, it's a whole new thing, and it feels pretty cool. Like the progression seems fun, and I want to try out these new missions, meet these new characters, even though technically for my character is in the past. I've actually played more of that than I've played of Beyond Light, which is stupid.
You've been doing all the other aspects.
But yeah, because there is like less content in some terms, it's kind of easier to jump in, and a lot of it's still there. Like you can still do I think you can probably do some of the story missions. I would imagine they wouldn't have locked out the Red War stuff. I might be wrong, but I feel like those missions were always a little bit separate if you go and get the old campaign. So I'm sure they'll have a way of doing that will mean you can probably experience it all. Because some of that was paid content. You wouldn't want to delete that completely. But the planets that those missions are based on won't actually exist. But yeah, it's really, really good.
It's on my maybe I'll try it out. But interestingly, there's one thing I will talk about before we get into the Xbox stuff, which is going to be what we're going to, it's going to be a big focus of the Xbox this week. There's all this Xbox stuff. Interestingly enough, I've not really spent as much time on the Xbox this week, or as much as you'd think, because I've been playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I've been continuing it on. So I got that game when it came out in 2018. I think it was actually probably around 2 years ago today. Because, well, around this day, it was the reason I brought my PlayStation to university in the first place. I was like, I want to play Red Dead Redemption 2. Everyone's going on about it, be saying like it'll be really good. So I brought it, and I played probably about half the story. And then I think Super Smash Bros. Ultimate came out, and I played that instead. And then I just, didn't get into it. And my flatmate started playing it again, and I was like, I never finished it. And I remember I was sat there. I don't know what I was doing. I was like, why did I not finish this game? Everyone said it was so good. It won Game of the Year awards, all this stuff. And I think I'd got in my head, I just didn't care about the story that much. I just didn't at that point, because I think I'd got up to a point. I can now say I've almost finished the story. I'm on the final bit. If you've played it, you'll know what I mean by the final bit. And I think basically it's one of those games where you just don't care about the story at the start, really, because you're getting to know these new characters. And it's not as much interesting happens, and then it snaps in the second half, and it just gets so much more interesting. And I was much more invested, despite the fact I've not played with these characters for 2 years. I was like, I'm much more invested now. And I've played a very large amount of this game in the past week, and I've almost finished it. And yeah, it kind of reminds me of Ghost of Tsushima, because I didn't really care about the story in the first half of that either. And then the second half got really good. And I was like, oh, this story is really good. But yeah, I've been playing that, and then of course a bit of the Xbox Series S.
Have you picked? You've got Game Pass. You said have anything?
I have Game Pass Ultimate. Yes.
You know what game's just been added?
What has been added? All the EA Play ones have.
Oh, EA Play, of course. If you haven't already, Fallen Order is really, really good. Yeah. I assume you've played Fallen Order already.
I played bits, but I've not finished it.
Oh, this is I thought it was worth finishing. I think I don't know spoiler wise, but the final kind of boss fight is really awesome. I think it's a really cool idea. And there's so many other reasons I could talk about that game. I've just distracted myself. Because one of the coolest things about that game is I recently watched the Clone Wars TV series on Disney Plus, and it's awesome how a bunch of the planets in Fallen Order were first seen in Clone Wars, and so many of the basically it is if they've just lifted the planets out of that TV show and remade them in the game. Things like have you been to the place where you get the kyber crystals?
No, I have no clue with that game. I played it when it first came out, and I didn't play much of it.
It's just really cool how they really stuck to those original designs and incorporated so many elements of things we've already seen before into puzzles. It was insane watching it, because obviously it's great that obviously it kind of in universe it's the same planet, but even between games things can change. So it was insane for me to see between these two different medium made by two completely different people, it is effectively these two planets feel identical and look identical. And then but the game you need to be playing, Celeste.
Celeste. Oh yeah, I did see Celeste was added, and I was like, I was like, oh, Hamish will tell me to play that.
I played it on Switch, and I'm like, I really want to go and get it. I feel attachment to achievements, so I'd love to go and do that. And then also, annoyingly, the final DLC chapter of Celeste came out way after the rest of the game, and it is insanely difficult. And I feel like I probably need to play through all of Celeste again to get good enough to even attempt chapter 9. So I'm feeling like maybe not right now, probably over the Christmas period, I'll find time to just go through all of Celeste and beat it all finally, because I know how it all ends, because I want to find out, because the challenge itself is something that still draws me in. But yeah, play Celeste.
Yeah, I think I might do. I've downloaded. From that I've downloaded Deep Rock Galactic. I think it's called. Not played it yet. Dead by Daylight. Not played that yet. No Man's Sky as well.
Hmm.
And a couple others. And I got the Falconeer to review, but I've not started playing
Okay.
that yet. But what I can say is it's very fast. Games
Mm.
load very quickly. They look really good.
All
You
right.
know, the Xbox Series S is not going to be the big. Oh my god, every single game looks amazing on it because it's a smaller console. Let
Hmm.
me see if I can lift it up here for all you people watching on the stream here. It's like
Yeah.
tiny compared to my head. It's
Yeah,
not
I
that
think
big.
before you were showing me like your hands, basically both your hands can cover it up, and it's mostly gone at that
Yeah.
point. I'm
Oh, so
facing
actually, I
away.
swear I've turned it off. I don't know why it's on. Apologies. I think I've got the instant on feature, so I'll probably have to turn it off because I don't really like that being warm. um, but yes, the Xbox Series S, good console. If you don't have a console or you really just want to get a next gen console, I'd probably say maybe the Xbox Series S is a good value pick. If you just want to play Game Pass games, very good value pick as well. But yes, it's been a good week for Xbox. They've had a very good time this week.
Yeah.
Uh, there's been a few hiccups here and there. Some
Yeah.
more truthful than others. Some
Yeah.
weirder than others. That's yeah.
But yeah, no, it definitely seems like we'll get into this. Obviously, Xbox Series X, Series S drops. That's why people like us have them. We're just part of you're just your regular guys. We're like IG or IGN or your
Yeah,
insert
I didn't get
company
a
here.
review
We're
copy,
not getting any
unfortunately.
review copies, so we're finally in our hands, and it seems cool. I say our hands, I mean Ollie's hands. I don't know. I'm sad. I didn't pre-order one because I didn't know what my job situation would be. But it's been really cool getting to see this all online. As I've said, I've written about a bajillion guides at this point, and it feels really awesome to be experience another console generation. There's always this sort of big exciting thing, and it
Yeah,
does seem like there's a big setup because even though you've mentioned your Series S hasn't got the best graphics, it does seem like that Xbox have or Microsoft have really tried to focus on what these consoles are. Obviously, Series X does everything super fast, super powerful, super good graphics, but the Series S they've gone okay, well, maybe someone doesn't care about graphics. Maybe someone doesn't have a 4K TV. I mean, most people don't,
I'm talking about 4K.
and probably the target audience
Yeah,
of the Series S doesn't either. So let's make it an HD console. Great. Well, now we've got that. We can make it. I think it still does 60 FPS though on most games.
it does, but it's a bit sort of
Yeah.
up in the air at the moment. I
Yeah.
think it is 60 FPS. Yeah.
And then they've also gone, okay, we can throw in some ray tracing, we can throw in all these bits and bobs, but also we'll make the load times really quick. So even if they are going for this more budget version, the main thing they're losing out on is the 4K ultra graphics, not so much the game experience, which most people
Yeah.
will want anyway. Because if you don't have a 4K monitor, who cares if you
No,
couldn't play
it's
it at
it's
4K?
exactly. It's a good price. It's all good. I'm just gonna. I don't think I'll ever buy a game for Xbox Game Pass. My Xbox Series S. I think it will exclusively be Xbox games. Um, just because if it comes out on a PS5, I'll probably get it on a PS5.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I mean, I'm I'm thinking I'd probably get. I'm debating whether I want to get an Xbox. I still have my One X right here, but I'm thinking I'll probably hopefully get a PS5 when those come up for regular order, and I might get a One X. It feels like sort of if I got the Series S, that wouldn't be an upgrade really. Does that
Yeah,
make
the One X
sense?
is still very good. It's still very
'Cause-
good, isn't it?
yeah, because I think it depends on things. So I'm lucky. I do have a 4K TV here at home.
Ooh.
Thank you, lovely parents, because I'm in their house. So I can play at 4K, but I'd lose out on that with the Series S. But I'd get faster load times. It's debating which I
Yeah,
want,
it's
because
it's
sometimes
debating what
those
you
load
want.
times are annoying. But who cares? Like if I'm playing Destiny 2, a lot of it's servers and internet. So I don't know how
Yeah,
much like my Xbox
you'd have
is really going to
yeah.
help.
This
um,
is yeah.
Well, you talked about some of the news stories this week. There's a lot of just Xbox It's Out news, but there's also been some stories circulating online, and I wanted to go with my favorite, were these videos that started popping up all over Twitter, Reddit,
Yeah.
YouTube, wherever you can watch video content. The Xbox Series X was smoking for a lot of people, and eventually, thankfully, this came out as fake. And I've got to say, I'm surprised it took people so long, because I watched some of these videos and went, I mean, that's obviously fake. At the start, it's like this really big puff of smoke, and then over time, it just suddenly dissipates. I'm like, there is no way that that's not real somehow.
The thing for me is, because I did write this up in an article first. When this broke, I got sent this out, like, quickly types it up. There's the big, I know the video you're talking about, if anyone's not seen it, it's big, it's the Xbox there, and a massive burst of sort of smoke, like plume, goes up in the air. And that, I looked at it and I was like, okay, that's too much smoke for this tiny little box to make. The one I got sent, which I was a bit like, oh, this is very interesting, it was just a tiny bit, and it just kept going, and I was like, it looked more realistic for me.
Yeah,
And then I saw
fair.
that one, and I was like, okay, this is a bit dubious. I don't really know.
Often when they say where there's smoke, there's fire. I think in this case, it's one of the few cases I can definitely see, like, if you were watching a video, maybe slowed down, particularly the end where it is just a little bit, it would make a lot of sense, because you think, oh, maybe some dust has got in there. There's been a lot of complaints about the machine potentially being really super duper hot. So suddenly it's like, okay, that could happen. I'm watching a video over here on Eurogamer, and you can see basically the way it's done is with a vape pen. Xbox then did have to tweet out, don't put vape in your thing.
It was confirmed, wasn't it? They confirmed. Well, this Xbox unofficial account tweeted out this video of them going, right, here's how you do it, and they just got a vape and they went and did it, put it on the side of the Xbox and it all rose up to the top.
Yeah, I think you have to.
Yeah.
I think you have to be doing it on like a specific screen where it gets your fan to like a setting, so you can just get your fan to go super fast. But yeah, I think it's one of those things though. It's sort of like, obviously, if your console is smoking and you haven't put any vape up it, maybe do turn it off.
No one will believe you anymore. No one will believe you.
But I think this is another thing of like, be careful what you see on the internet. It's not all real. But also like, yeah, sometimes though it can still be good to be like, hey, your Xbox console might smoke. So I think it's good that people are getting out there and warning about it.
The thing I thought, when I saw it was fake, or when it got confirmed as fake, my first thought was, you've just got this console, this £500 console. It's a lot of money, and you've decided to go and blow vape smoke inside it. That doesn't seem like the best decision. I don't know that much about the chemical makeup of vape smoke in terms of and the residue it could leave.
There'll be some nicotine in there often.
What I'm thinking is, you blow that in there, what's going to get stuck inside your console? What particles will be left?
No, there is going to be like sticky gunk in there.
That's what I thought. It will be building up, and it's like, oh.
Because they'll be particularly if it depends what vape you're using, but particularly if you're using like a flavored one, which most of them are, there's going to be stuff in there that's not going to be great. Even if it's like a mint one or just a sort of a plainish one, there's still going to be nicotine and other bits that are all mixed in that aren't going to be fun to get on all your electronics.
Yeah, it was. I think Xbox, as you said, did put out a tweet saying, do not do this. Please don't put vape smoke in your Xbox. It's not safe, and it will not help your Xbox. So I hope people believe them, and hope people don't try and make this effect happen. I know I, for one, will not be doing anything like that ever.
No.
I value my money.
Yeah, well, also yours, I think a lot of the videos seem to be with an X. I wonder if it works with an S, because that might protect
I'm not going to try it, but I think it probably will. It still has the bit at the top and the bit on the side, the circle.
Though one thing that does seem to have a little bit more credibility to it is that there seem to be some problems with disk drives. I've seen that floating around. I've not seen so many sort of debunking videos with regards to this one. So this could be a slightly bigger issue. Obviously, if your disk drive doesn't work, if you want to play physical games, thankfully I'm probably fine. I love digital, but Ollie, you're the disc.
I'll be fine on my Xbox.
Oh, your Xbox Series S, there's no one.
It's not got a disk drive, so yeah.
We're both okay, but if you're someone that likes discs and has a Series X, not great to have videos sort of showing off that your Xbox is going to be whirring loudly and making weird noises when it's taking a disc in. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of these times where I think internet trolls as well are just going out and saying lots of different stuff about it. So I'm not sure how much of it is true, how much of it is not true. I think Microsoft has apparently like said a few of these disk drive issues aren't real when it's like running for loud, but I think some of them, the Xbox isn't accepting disks or sometimes it's just not working. I think these are genuine issues which ones have, but some of these defects you can't. It's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Millions of these units have been made. It's just come out. It's like the first day they come out. Millions have been made. There's bound to be a few issues. There's a sort of the age old adage in video game development, and I guess it also translates to hardware, where you can do all this quality assurance testing, you can do all this testing, but ultimately at the end of the day, the main QA testing, as you could call it, will be the people who have this product
Yeah.
on like the first few days. That's why patches exist. That's why software updates exist. Firmware updates exist. Obviously, it'll be a bit harder if it's actually the hardware, because then that's a whole other issue of having to fix the hardware, which is not as easy. See the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons, for example. But
And
I
that's still a
think,
fiasco to today.
yeah, I think it'll probably be okay. Hopefully, these people get their money back. Hopefully, if they don't work or they get a new console,
Yeah.
or hopefully, again, it's just a hoax and these people don't actually have faulty Xboxes.
Yeah, it's one of those things. So I think in all of these cases, it's because particularly this generation, it felt like there were, I made a joke about how we didn't get sent any, but there did seem like a lot of content creators all over the internet were sent them, particularly because I think content creation has become so much more broad since really at the beginning of the
Yeah,
previous generation. But it feels like, even fairly minor YouTubers with like a couple, like a few 100,000 followers were being sent something, whereas I feel like before you'd have to have been like a few million subscribers to get your hands on an early console.
yeah. I think it's as well because there's not been as much in-person promotion this year because of obviously
Yeah.
coronavirus. So they're like, well, because I think I read something, if obviously talking about Xbox, but PlayStation were originally their original event revealing the PS5 was going to be in this big New York outdoor sort of space. I think it might have been outdoors where they would have projected the PS5 sort of console onto some massive screen or onto some building or something, and it's going to be this big whole event.
Oh, so it'd
And
be
in
1-to-1
June,
scale, so you'd see how large you need a
yeah,
room for
this is
it.
how big your room must be. And obviously that didn't happen because of coronavirus. So they've either got all this big marketing budget available, or they've just like got to completely redo the plans. And obviously one of these easy ways is, well, we just need to create loads of videos or get people talking about it. We can't just make a video ourselves every single hour. Let's get some content creators out there
Yeah,
sharing the words, doing free promotion for us, which
it
ultimately lots
works.
of these things are. And
Yeah,
it's lots of people have. I'm saying I'm a bit jealous of people who got them early, but we'll get there one day. We'll get there one day.
yeah,
I'm not bitter.
no. And, I think what is also interesting though with some of these stories, like where it's sort of hard to work out whether they're a hoax or not in all of these cases, it's sort of like, well, so many people had them early and no one really reported on this. Like if someone had it, I don't know, insert
Yeah.
famous content creator here, but like, my Xbox is smoking, my Xbox disk drive doesn't work. I feel like someone would have had it. I'm not saying it's not like possible that these things could happen for real. Like, disk drives can just go wrong, and it can even be, how did it get carried in a box? Did you drop it at some
Oh yeah.
point? And
Did
suddenly,
so a postman just throw it? So no, my this is a bit of a caveat. My Amazon parcel, because I was sort of waiting here, and I don't know if he rang the doorbell or I didn't hear it, but I saw him walking away from the thing. I looked out my window, and I was like, "Has he just? Where's the Xbox? Has he just left it?" I opened the door, and he just left the box outside my door, and I was like, "That's an Xbox in there. Don't leave that outside. That is a risky thing."
well, it was like in a I assume in an Amazon.
In a big Amazon box, but out of all the days when
Yeah,
people would be on the lookout for big boxes, I was like,
yeah, that's
oh,
fair.
luckily, as in I got there within a minute of him leaving, so I was fine. And I'm glad he didn't, give me one of these things, these Royal
Very
Mail
annoying.
delivery things, which is very
Yeah,
annoying. But luckily it's fine. So I've got it. But that's a little side story. Yeah, I've seen
yeah,
videos of UPS drivers or other people just getting a box and they'll just chuck it on the porch or chuck it on the to someone's thing because they don't know what's in there. You know, they could just big box, probably just I don't know, some clothes, chuck it over there, some shoes.
I don't want it. I've been ordering quite a few bits recently. No, actually, to be fair, postman's been pretty good. Knocks on the door, steps away a bit. I pick stuff up. It's been.
I saw we talked about your postman fiasco last week with the guy leaving it on the bin or something.
Oh, that was bad. Amazon actually. Yeah, I remember. Yeah, Amazon have been weird. I was going to say that as well. Amazon have been weird, but Royal Mail have been doing me really good. I've got some stuff from Waterstones recently. Very good. I love buying books, even if I don't read them. But buying books is fun, and they've been really, really good to me. And but yeah, delivery drivers are weird because I was saying for a while Amazon would just put parcels underneath my back gate, and it's difficult to get to my house's back gate here. It's down a separate side alley. I think there is a sign on it that does say the house name. So they could work it out that it... Oh, did that get removed? I feel like there's still one, because we changed our gate recently, but I don't know whether we kept the sign. Anyway, potentially they'd be able to work it out, but still, it's odd when there's a front door, you could just knock on it and leave it.
Very odd.
Some of my other funny story of putting... it's not that funny, but I was really proud of it, of post-delivery stuff, is I knew delivery was coming the next day, but I'd stayed up really late trying to just grind out finishing my dissertation earlier in the summer. So I just thought, okay, I am not going to be awake in time for this. I think it was about 4 a.m. And I thought, okay, I've got it all finished. I'm just going to go to bed and I'm going to sleep through any alarm. So I got this big white clothes box, emptied it, washing, dirty washing basket. But it's a box with a lid. Emptied it all out into a second one. So I had an empty box, put that outside my house, and then left a note on my door saying, I was up late working on my dissertation, please put any packages in the white box. And then I got one of those Royal Mail delivery slips through, and it just said, in white box. It was in white box. But it was the fake out of oh no, they've just not delivered it. They didn't read my sign. It's in white box. It's yes, I've won. I've done it.
You've got it. You got the thing. All very nice.
I should have given my postman a box of chocolates, but we have a few different ones, so I didn't know who would get it, and I didn't know who had done it, but it was good.
Yes, well, my Xbox is safe and sound. Hopefully, my PS5 is. I'm not a bit more worried, but I'll be more concerned. I really want to. I'll be sat there looking out my window like this. I'll be like, come on.
I guess that's the advantage of being at home learning for most of uni right now, so you can just sort of stay at home.
It's on Thursday, and I have a seminar on Thursday at 4, and I'm I leave at 3, so it better come before 3. If it doesn't come before 3, I'm gonna have to, sub in one of my Luckily, my other flatmates also game on, so I might be like, yo, just go sit in my room, put your laptop on the windowsill, watch something on there, and wait until 2 delivery vans, because we got them from different places, so it's going to be who turns up first or maybe both at the same time.
Theirs gets delayed, and so they steal yours and be like, Smith didn't show up. It was the other people. I'm sorry.
It's going to be a stressful day, but it'll be all be worth it in the end. This time next week, you'll be, I'll be there, but yes, my PlayStation's very good, thank you.
That's hopefully, but
touch wood.
Yeah. Well, once we look ahead to the future of gaming in that regard, potentially the future of gaming in a different field is going to be changing a little bit, because you told me about this, Ollie, so I don't know too much about it. So you take the lead on it, but ESPN are apparently shutting down their eSports coverage.
Yeah. So ESPN
doesn't look good.
Out of all the mainstream sports coverage, credit where credit was due. In the past, they were pretty well staffed. They had quite a big production budget for all these mainstream sports ones. They actually would show and cover all these new esports games. But unfortunately, as Hamish, you alluded to, they're shutting down their entire esports division apart from work, which is already going on. So it means they won't publish articles or news stories. The social media channels will be going down. All the coverage will be gone because ESPN. I think it's just because ESPN is struggling in general.
Sports not going on a lot right now.
Yeah, sports not going on as much. So they're having to make loads of redundancies anyways. And unfortunately, the esports division is not being saved. So the esports one will be gone as well. And I just think it's one of these things where I'm like, it's such a great shame because seeing it like esports covered in a, I want to say yeah, even though ESPN is not as traditional, a traditional sort of coverage sort of place. It was really cool. I was like, man, this means this is solidifying its position within mainstream media. It's gonna, be much more, hopefully much more supported in the future. And obviously now, 4 years after it was first created, I think it was 2016, it was created. It's being closed down. I think there's a quote here. They said it was unable to achieve the reach or scale to break through or make a meaningful impact on the industry. And that's a close said a source close to the deal. It's got some rights for other games and stuff at the moment, like F1, Madden, 2K, the V10R League. All these things are coming out in the future, and I think they are going to be still committing to those contracts. But it's obviously just in the future because of the COVID situation, as we've sort of said, where unfortunately, they're going to have to, close down. So I don't know what's really going to happen with the future of esports coverage, sort of in a mainstream traditional sense, in no sense.
Yeah,
So ESPN like these, I don't really know.
I think it's interesting because I was trying to say that when I was saying like the future of gaming, did I just cut off?
Oh, you still? I can still hear
Technical
you.
difficulties here. I don't know. I think I just called
Technical
off the call
difficulties here.
on my phone.
Oh well, I can still hear you. So there we are. We're back.
There
All
we go. I'm
back.
back. The
He's back.
stream was still going. It's just the phone screen that I've got here, so I can see you at a decent angle because the monitor's over there where everything's on it. That cut out. I don't really know why. Maybe my cable hit it. But I was trying to say that I think that for me this might put the sort of the future of esports in a bit of jeopardy because even if it wasn't having the reach that ESPN really wanted, it was mainstream. So even if sort of one of these, because I think the thing with esports is you'll have really dedicated fans and they'll probably go to the dedicated esports places. If they're into League of Legends, there'll be a League of Legends site they'll go to. If they're into Valorant, there'll be a Valorant site they go to. If they're into Fortnite, so on and so on. So it might be harder for someone that's a bit more general to try and come in and take up lots of that pie because they're doing a little bit of everything. But what that had the opportunity to do is maybe someone's watching ESPN and they think, well, I like their coverage of this thing. I've heard of esports. I'll try it. Or I don't quite know how ESPN works. If they have like a TV channel, maybe they're doing the football, rugby, American football. They're doing basketball, anything, and then it leads into a Fortnite match. You've been like, maybe it just you have it on in the background by accident, and then you're actually engaging in it, and you think, oh, this is fun, and you might keep going back to it. So I think that it's a shame then that it had that potential.
It's one of those things, esports, because the sort of industry standard, so we'll say, is that all these sort of competitions and everything usually seen are streamed on Twitch for free, isn't it? It doesn't cost anything to watch them.
Yeah.
You can just watch them on there, and you can like donate. Well, not, or it's just adverts on there. So having them off Twitch, or if they're on actual TV channels as well, disrupts that flow. It can work in a sense to get sort of traditional viewers in, but it's, as you said, will the core audience engage? They'll have their sort of online places to go. I mean, even BBC does a tiny bit of coverage of esports on the BBC Sport thing, and I see it occasionally, and it's got a good like ranking, and obviously it's a big, prominent, respected site, so maybe people might watch it and might read it. But it is just, I think, can it capture the key audiences to sort of properly justify itself having it? Because
Yeah.
it's all well and good as saying, oh, it's so cool, ESPN, BBC. Oh, wouldn't it be so cool if all these mainstream media sub outlets had esports coverage, had more games coverage? But for them, they'd obviously have to ask themselves the question: well, we're already facing issues as it is with funding, with making money. Can we put funding? Can we put resources behind an esports division if it's not going to make us money? And that's ultimately what it does come down to. Is it going to be sustainable? Is it going to be profitable for these companies? And in ESPN's case, hit with probably less ad revenue, probably maybe lower viewers. I'm not really sure in terms of what's been going on in that. Maybe lower viewership.
Yeah.
Fortunately, seems like it has had to be made redundant, which is a
Yeah.
really great shame to both the fans of it, the staff there, and
Yeah, because I think total They needed to make 500 job cuts, which are being done by laying off 300 positions. So obviously that's pretty much the entire esports team, and then their 200 places basically they're not going to fill. So there are 200 vacancies that they're not going to hire people for. Though actually, I was just reading a quick line because there were two things. Firstly, it looks like ESPN still will be doing a little bit of coverage, but it might be more like the BBC's coverage, where it's a bit more sporadic. They still recognise it as an opportunity to expand. I'll read the quote actually, just as a quote rather than paraphrasing it. We recognise esports as an opportunity to expand our audience, and will continue to do so through coverage from the broader team for major events, breaking news, and coverage. So rather than having daily updates, if there's the big Fortnite tournament, then they'll probably cover that. If there's some big breaking news, I don't know what would really count as big breaking news for ESPN, but maybe something like that. Then there, I guess you might have some issues with some games. What are they going to cover? League of Legends maybe isn't everyone's best game to just jump into as esports if you're just sort of a general watcher, but that's one of the bigger esports. Whereas I think some of the ones you mentioned, I remember you mentioning like F1, that makes sense in esport to get into because it's like, oh, I watched the F1 driving, I'll watch this F1 game.
Yeah, they are sort of ones where when I guess when people pitch to ESPN, for example, they could probably use what you're trying to say. They'll be. I'm obviously I don't host esports events or anything, but I'm imagining it's very appealing for these companies to have similar sort of ones, and it is a this is a tough one. Hopefully, with if it's because of the COVID-19 thing, hopefully in the future maybe there might
maybe pick up. I imagine the other thing as well with COVID sort of swirling around, which might be I don't know how it's affecting the esports industry, but obviously some sports is able to open up. I know here in the UK the big one is the Premier League is opening up at least, so people can watch.
There's just no one can go into the stadiums, unfortunately, but that's
but you can still have that. It's readily available. Whereas obviously, there are esports tournaments are hit a bit harder. It requires everyone to be inside. You don't normally play them outside. If you're in a team of people, you're often all right next to each other, so you can look at other people's screens. If you watch it, you'll have like 5 or 6 computers all next to each other. You have the coaches. Everyone's getting really close, and obviously that's not really COVID safe. And potentially, there were talks about having like Evo done over the online. I think there were plans with that at least. I don't know whether it actually went ahead in the end because then there were the internet issues. If you particularly with a fighting game, it's split millisecond decisions, like frames can make the difference between whether you block an attack or it finishes you off. And the moment you introduce even a little bit of lag, it can suddenly become a whole different ball game for these top pro players. For you and I, Ollie, probably wouldn't matter. We'd probably be still just as bad.
I would not. I don't think I'd beat anyone nearly. Anyone who's anywhere near the top would still get absolutely crushed.
But whereas with some of these top players, there's that famous clip of this guy that blocks like a 12-hit combo. So he just managed to pixel perfect frame it every single time, and it's insane. If there'd been even a little bit of internet lag, he'd have messed that up, and he'd have been out. Yeah. So I think obviously I imagine COVID's probably hitting esports quite heavily, and this is another one of those. I'm with you.
It's an odd time. It's still probably making enough money, but I think as well it's just so much uncertainty going around at the moment as well. So it's a sad situation. Hopefully, there's still loads of other outlets to cover it, of course. There's lots of other gaming websites, lots of other places where they actually have dedicated esports coverage. So from a fan's perspective, they should be okay. It just depends on how the sort of the staff do, of course, as well, how well the coverage goes on, and hopefully it'll bounce back. Esports is not dying. Esports is.
Oh yeah, no, I was actually reading a few bits just a second ago, and it actually looks like esports did quite well out of the pandemic because I'd forgotten there was the Premier League. Some players did like a FIFA tournament, didn't they?
There's been lots of stuff. There's been as I've said, everyone's stuck inside, so they're like, well, we can't watch sport. Let's play a game which plays a sport. Which is a great opportunity. Optimistic about the future of esports. I think it will hopefully get more institutionalized in the future. I'm still hoping eventually it'll make its way into the Olympics. That would be so fun. But I think there's still a lot of people
The
who would be
Olympics.
the Olympics, yeah. But I think just if they did a step one, it would be cool. But I think get it into the main ones. But I guess you can't really do that because it's a commercial property, like these games, obviously. So the Olympics, where it's like I guess a widespread tournament across different games as well. That would be very cool.
I think that could be a lot of fun because, as well, because I think you're right that one of the big issues with getting something into the Olympics is sort of like, okay, well, what games do you pick? It suddenly becomes way more commercialized. You know, Overwatch is an owned title, but which version of Overwatch are you picking? You know,
can you put owned content into it as a sport in the Olympics?
yeah,
Is that allowed? Probably not. No one owns like football. No one owns running.
yeah.
No one owns these things.
It becomes such a thing. Then it's like, okay, because there are sports that will drop in and out of the Olympics. You know, I think at one time golf was included.
Just
but obviously,
I think last time, yes. So it will be in this time as well.
So it's just then like, okay, well, if you drop golf or some other game, some other game, maybe you drop badminton one time, that doesn't obviously have a commercial success. As you're saying, no one owns these sports. No one owns football. So if football wasn't in the next Olympics, no one would necessarily lose out. But then it's like, well, is Overwatch going to be here? Activision Blizzard are going to be making sure it is. What games do and don't you pick? Do you pick Apex Legends and Fortnite and PUBG and all the other battle royales? Or do you pick just a couple? I'd say that Apex and Fortnite are pretty different to each other. So then maybe you'd pick a third one, but say PUBG, other than the building, that's quite similar to Fortnite. So do you go for both those or just one or the other? If you're going for, PUBG versus say, what's one of, is it DayZ? No.
Warzone.
No. Warzone, yeah, Warzone actually, yeah, that's two good picks. Which of those do you pick? A lot of these games are 18 plus, they're quite violent. Yeah. Does that mean that you don't include them? It becomes this whole thing.
Should make their own game. The ICC is that never IOC or whatever the Olympic Committee is called. They can commission some game developers and they can make their own game and put that into the Olympics.
I think it could be cool to maybe see game companies get together and do something, maybe be like, okay, we're gonna have a really open system where people can easily game companies can easily rank and show off who's the best in the world at their game right now. So who is the best, objectively, who is the best Apex Legends player, who is the best Pokken tournament player, have this whole big list of just like all different kinds of games all in one easy to find spot that's sort of supported and data's given to this place by all of these major companies. I think that would be really, really awesome. But I don't actually, having talked about it now, in the past I've been very pro an Olympics, but actually I can see now it probably wouldn't work. And now I'm anti it. I've turned.
I think it'd be fun. I don't know. It'd be fun. It'd be very fun. But yeah, I think lots to work out, and we are unfortunately not the people who will be working this out. Unfortunately not. It'd be very cool.
I feel like we could. I thought we could do a good job. The Warthogs Olympics.
Oh, I would lose every round.
Oh, I don't think I'd be much better. No, I wouldn't be much better. I've done okay this season. I've got a few season wins in Fortnite. I got a season win on day one of Apex Legends. Yeah, haven't played it since.
Oh dear.
Battle Pass problems, man. They respawn. Fans have been so angry. You can go through the Battle Pass. They were like, "Oh, week one, I got to like rank 40. This is great." Everyone on, and this is like end of week one, I got to rank 8. I'm doing so well. Yeah, gaming's weird, man.
Gaming's weird. What a phrase. There we are. Gaming bad? ?
Gaming bad. Hopefully not. We'll see. Maybe the PlayStation will save us next week.
If PS5 doesn't get delivered, gaming is bad. That's my conclusion.
Let's hope that the PlayStation 5 does show up. I'll be rooting for it. One of my few occasions where I won't be. I'll be on Team PlayStation. Maybe I'll have to swap my banner on that's around me right now to a blue one for next week. But until then, It's been a really fun time getting to talk to you all. Hope you all enjoyed. If you're watching here on Twitch, if you're watching later on YouTube or on podcast services around the globe, remember to give us a like, a subscribe, a comment, a 5-star review, whatever's appropriate for your platform. Share us with your friends. We like talking about games. We're just here to have some fun and build some experience podcasting. But if you think we're fun, keep coming back. And check out Instagram at the Warthog Podcast, I believe, on Insta. We post stuff. It's been a bit slow recently, but now that I have a more dedicated full-time job, I'll be able to work out when I can and can't post. So hopefully it'll get a bit more consistent again. I say that every week, but hopefully this week will be good. And until next week, it's going to be goodbye from me.
It's bye from me. Bye.
Bye. I'm going to close the stream.